We're building tomorrow,
but we're human today.
where technology meets us.
And ideas lead the way. From business to connection, from vision into sound.
We turn the boldest ideas
into something real and loud. The synthetic echo.
where human meets machine.
Create it, build it, grow
Push
it.
beyond what you have seen.
The synthetic echo. The future starts right here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new week. Thank you for joining me, your host, Nathan Graham, on The Synthetic Echo. This is where we talk a little bit about technology, a little bit about psychology, a little bit about everything when it comes to do with business. And the cool thing is we have all these different businesses on, so you can learn more and hopefully take something. You may not be a realtor today. We're going to have a real estate conversation today, yet if you really look into the essence of real estate, you can use this business or these strategies and tactics into anywhere. So I want to welcome the absolutely amazing good friend of mine. I had to make sure she was the first guest ever to be aired on my show, Jennifer Jones. I'm going to let you do your intro because I'm going to mess it up like you're investing.
Hardly.
How amazing you are. Go for it. Tell us about yourself, Jen.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm absolutely honored. You are such a rock star, and this is such a special opportunity for me to be your first guest. Woo! So I am running a real estate team, so north of Toronto, and we have between 40 and 50 agents at any given time. We sit in the top 10 for the Toronto Real Estate Board out of 70,000 agents or whatever it is. But I think my focus is really on it. And the reason why I've had the success has been focusing more on spiritual sales, like the idea of, really marrying those things together, not that hardcore sales, but really serving the client at a very high level and more like consultative, right? More like you, the way you do things.
Yeah. The way I do things, nobody knows how I do things, so we're good on that one.
I know.
Okay. So that's interesting because we are going to talk technology because you introduced me. You were a main driver actually in my AI world. You introduced me to a lot of cool programs. But before we dive into this technological side, one of the big things I want to really promote on this show is technology is something that helps us. It doesn't replace
100%.
us, and the human connection doesn't go away. So let's dive in a little bit to this spiritual selling sort of thing, because I know you, but the people don't know you. I know you are all about human connection. So let's talk about spiritual sales. How are you serving and connecting the client? What brought you to the top 10 in the Toronto board, which is the largest board, I believe, in North America?
That's right. Yeah. So I think for me, it was literally getting up every day and saying, how do I serve others? Right? Please send me the people I'm meant to serve. Please remove the people I'm not meant to serve. And then, really visualizing and being clear on what it was I wanted. So, I give the example of driving along that lakefront. I was a new agent. I was new into the area where we'd moved. And this was a relatively small town that had 3 dominant realtors that had been there for almost 30 years. And I would drive the lakefront, sip my Tim Hortons coffee in Canada, and declare, I'm so grateful all these buyers and sellers are mine. Looking at the homes, I would visualize it. I would see the solds going on. And the next year, you could drive that lakefront and pretty much every sale and purchase was mine. I had literally dominated. So that importance of, really being clear and working through your limiting beliefs that you have and setting those aside and seeing the world now as if you are already there. So I think it's just, it's all in the mind, right? Mind and your commitment and your faith to something bigger.
I absolutely love that because I don't even know if you know this about me. You probably surmised this about me, but when I first got into real estate myself, so I was in real estate 16 years, and I grew up in a household that said positive thinking and that sort of dreaming is all mumbo jumbo. You don't do it, right? Like, let's live in reality here, people, so you can actually go do something. So this was such a whole new world to me. I want to let people know, and actually, I believe into this, so you can contribute to this. This isn't just the mumbo jumbo. There's actual neurological evidence behind this. Like, your brain shifts and changes. So like let's talk about the actual science behind it. Because one thing I want to make sure is people hear that we're not just toting think good and good things will happen. Like, what happens in the brain when you start doing that?
Well, I think the example we can use is the brain can't determine the difference between what is real and what is imagined. And the example I would give you is, have you seen a horror film? Have you gone in to go watch a scary movie in a movie theater or sitting on your couch, right? So as, someone's coming up behind that, person that's going to get into trouble, what are you experiencing in your body? So for yourself, Nathan, what would you be experiencing when that's happening?
See, I'm a chicken when it comes to horror movies, so that's why I don't go to them, because I am absolutely the guy who will have nightmares and anxiety, and it is like, I can't do it. I'm like, why are you so dumb? Look out. But then I'm freaking out. I get paranoid.
Right. And that's the thing. So watching one of those movies, you realize your palms start sweating, your heart starts racing, you're yelling at the TV, you're covering your face. You don't want to see this, right? And that's because your brain can't determine the difference. It is literally seeing it as if it is a real thing. So what you see, what you believe, right? What you're actually visualizing over your life is literally what you're creating. Now, I'm not talking about, traumatic things happening in your world. I'm not going to get into explaining all of my views on that. But I do think that the science behind this has now proven that we are 99% energy, right? So going into quantum physics, looking at sort of the way that science is now looking at this belief system is essentially we're just energetic, we're just energy. So the same way that you look at a table or you look at a couch, you look at a tree, and it's just basically atoms flying around, right? Mm-hmm. That this is a fact. The fact is that these are atoms flying around, moving in a way that when you touch something, it makes it feel solid, but it's actually not solid. It's just these atoms flying around and creating this table, right? So that's kind of the way I look at it is we only know, I think, this much of the way that the world actually is. They used to believe the world was flat, right? And people were crazy right? And if you didn't believe the world was flat, you were absolutely nuts, right? So I think it's just understanding we know so little, and I think just being open-minded and test it for yourself, right? I would use the example for people, do you like coffee or tea? Well, make a declaration. I'm so grateful that people give me coffee and tea. Like they just give it to me. I am so grateful. That is so amazing. And just visualize people giving you these coffees and teas. You will have the experience over the next week where you could drive through a drive-through, someone's going to buy you one from in front, or, you're going to get a free coffee, or you go somewhere and someone offers you one. You're going to get those experiences because what you start to put your focus on is literally what you create, right? The more attention you put on it, the more energy you're directing into that thing that you're focusing on, and therefore you receive. And there is a lot of science behind this. That's a whole separate show.
Yeah, like without diving into it, just a little bit of the neuroscience that I've learned from it when I was taking a lot of neuroplasticity and everything. The brain is a very funny thing. We think we have this weird control over it, but we really don't. It's a tool that serves us, but it's like a tool that's a machine that it'll operate on pathways. And one of the things I've done in my own life, I think you've seen me do this over the last 2 years, is those pathways are what we would default to. And I wanted to change a lot of my behavior. So I started changing my pathways. And the way we do that is exactly what you're talking about, is you focus on a different part of life. And then eventually your brain accepts it as a new pathway and starts to put the things into place and the opportunities into place around that, which is what makes it it's this weird phenomenon that I think we still look too much as mysticism, but is really backed up with a lot of science. And I want to encourage a lot of people to go through that and check it out.
Yeah, that is so true.
Before we jump into the tech part,
let's do it. This is what you and I are both super passionate about. So let's go.
All right. So you've been in real estate for a bit now, and you're obviously all about human tech and human technology. This AI thing, man, it is a trip. It is something else. So let's talk about it. First of all, how are you utilizing AI in your day-to-day business? What tools and programs, how has it made your business better?
So I think it's a complete game changer. Let's just start there. And I would say we're pretty much using it for everything at this point and constantly looking every day for new ways. So you and I discovered actually last week that was something I wanted to test, and I was so excited to be able to
Did it
test
work?
that with you on a call. Actually, like taking the listing paperwork and having AI load that up onto the system. Now, obviously, it's putting it to draft and we're checking it over and all those things. That was the latest utilization. So that takes a lot of time off someone, an administrator who would be doing that, where they can just check it as opposed to inputting just data entry, right? From a lead generation standpoint, of course, having chatbots that are communicating. We've used voice AI dialers, as you know. I do find they're not 100% there yet. And even large companies that are using them, if you call, you'll get the odd AI will hang up. AI won't repeat back the information correctly. Like it's improving every single day. It's not necessarily out of place yet for the phone AI where I would 100% trust it. But I'm using it for absolutely everything in our business. Like we even with real estate photos, instead of shooting twilight, now we just use AI to do the twilight.
Well, that was like a $300 add-on or a $200 add-on now, and now we're just doing it.
Yeah. Same with the virtual staging, right? AI staging. We don't have to pay for someone else to do that now. Doing before and after shots in terms of like a client looking at a property saying, oh, well, I don't like this one. It has a dark kitchen or it has tile floors. I want hardwood. And being able to literally take that picture, put it into AI, whichever one you're using, and then show the client, this is the way that would look with those features that you love, or that wall removed, or more open concept, or whatever it is. So I think for a lot of people that sort of struggle to see the vision, this is an amazing tool to be able to help them see where it could be, right?
Right. So let's talk about that vision a minute, because a lot of my belief, and this is going to be kind of fun talking to a top team, and I know you, so I know I can get away with this, but top teams have to be a little scared because AI is the great equalizer. Like I can now be an individual agent. I do not need all this $1 million budgets. I don't need all this editing software. We now have programs like the one I get you guys the beta test with Echo Hub that does all your advertisements for you guys. This is now an integrated part of life. Like, so as a top team, are you seeing how individual agents, for lack of a better word, the ones who are embracing are catching up to what used to help you stand out for a value prop?
I actually would say there's a big difference typically between a disc profile of someone who would be on a team versus not be on a team, right? So I think for the teams that are moving ahead and utilizing AI and doing what you and I are doing, it's a game changer. I think for the teams that are staying where they are and not doing it, they are going to get left behind. And the same goes for an individual who is crushing it and using AI and taking advantage of all the amazing things it can do. And then also the individuals that aren't doing it, they're going to be left behind. So I think we look at like the reality is in life that you get 20% of people in any business that do 80% of the business, and they typically stay there because they're willing to jump into new technology, pivot, take chances. We call that your green light, red light, right? So if you're getting return on investment after 6 months in something you're doing, keep on doing it. If you're not, you're going to put the red light on and stop the spend, right?
Well, and I want to touch on this because like there's a message behind your message here that I'm hoping not just all realtors, individual realtors are hearing, but all businesses. Like, yes, there are going to be big teams that are taking advantage of this.
Yes.
But there's a lot that I talk to that are still using Gemini or Chat GPT as a search engine. They're not using it to the full. So all of a sudden, as an individual agent, I'm an individual agent. I now have an admin that I spend $20 a month on that loads all my listings. We'll talk about phones in a minute, because for Synthetic Echo, I obviously don't have a big call center, right? We are a startup company. We are creating programs for people. And I now have a 1-800 number that you can call at any time that has somebody will help you through the most basic of any things. But then my AI knows its limitations and will send me the message and an update for me to call you that morning, right? And I still make all the personal calls, or my tech department, right? So here we are, a very small group of a very small people, but yet we have 24-hour phones. We have AI messengers. I now have an AI messenger that gets back to all my LinkedIn messages, gets back to all my messages, gets back to clients right away, sends clients, uploads everything. Like, these are things that were traditionally just big teams.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I
Right.
think even with Echo Hub as an example, like for any team or agent that doesn't have a full-time social media manager like we do, you need to be utilizing something like your service where, you can basically automate so much of your social media account where you're not having to spend the time doing that as well. And so I think, yeah, exactly that. We have, amazing people like yourself that have built this incredible technology and streamline things. Like even all of the stuff you built to, have going from transaction desk or Sky Slope and basically having the offer reviewed by AI, where it spits back any potential risks. It spits back anything that, like being past an irrevocable time, missing signatures, like, so the sort of a risk assessment of that offer. So that could help the agent go, oh, wait a second here. I missed something, right? And for you agents out there, you think, no big deal. I missed it. Who cares? And yeah, in a market where people feel they got a great deal, they're going to close, 99.9% of the time, no matter what. But we go into a declining market or where people felt they paid too much and they start to look for those loopholes. Like the offer was accepted 5 minutes after the irrevocable. That is something people can get out of, right? I missed initialing or I missed a signature. They can get out of a deal. They're going to use what they need to get out. So I just think with people like you, Nathan, who are so talented in terms of what you're building with AI, I think the important thing for for teams or individuals is to be around people who are teaching them things, right? So, Notebook LM, we do our seller reports that way now, Gamma app, Lovable, like all these things that we use for listing presentations, for marketing presentations, with podcasts we put in them, with, videos. There's so much you can do. And it's not about, changing that human connection, because you still need to be belly to belly with the client, right? This is more about the marketing side. And I think one really cool thing that we're using it for in our listing presentations, or what we call like a marketing presentation, we're customizing it entirely for that seller. And then we're going in, looking at the property and using Google, so Gemini AI, to scrape the data and help us figure out who are our 5 buyer avatars, right? What would be the social media hooks we would use to advertise to them, right? And then what are the social media ad campaigns that we need to be doing and where? Because for certain properties, it's Facebook. For certain properties, it's Instagram. For certain properties, it's more TikTok. So it's understanding that, we're reasonably good as humans, and AI is becoming quickly way more, because of all the data it can pull, way more intelligent than we are. And so it is like dealing with and getting advice from an expert marketer, right?
Oh, every day.
Right. So to me, I think exactly what you're saying, like people just have to use it and pay attention to who you're around. Are they people that are just reiterating what everyone's reiterating, or are they actually implementing it in their business? Because the implementation part is the important part, right?
Right. So all my listeners know too, by the way, for 25% of all your sales, Jen will gladly say all these nice things about you on your podcast too. No, no, but seriously, I appreciate things that you say about that. But on an honest note, like, you're not wrong. Like, one of the things with these podcasts, I'm hosting a course. Actually, I'm hosting a course for you and your team, and everybody's welcome. By the way, we can put a link in this episode. Everybody's welcome to join us. I think we all are, right?
Yes.
On how to do podcasting, because I fell into this a month ago, and I've now been on 46 podcasts. I've now created my own podcast. I've already have a following. I have people asking to be on mine. And it's all a very easy thing to do. But one thing that does suck and takes time is research, right? And so I built an AI program literally just for podcasters that they could input a profile. They input their profile and then input the research profile, like the person who wants to be on or the show you want to be on. And it literally does an entire search of that individual and tells you whether you're a right fit or not, and gives you what the next scripts are. I even have it now to a point where it even downloads a PDF for a walkthrough. So what I've done, some of the shows I've been on have these amazing marketing things. I was on one podcast, which was so fun. The guy was great. On the Brink, if you ever get a chance to listen to it, I love it. Yeah, great guy out of Vancouver. Anyways, it was funny because he had this other guy who was giving advice on the podcast, and he had this whole team. And I'm sitting here thinking, I got this. I have this whole team, but it's just all my AI.
It's all AI. Yeah.
But let's make a shift here, because AI is really cool. Obviously, one thing I want to talk to you before we make this shift in the conversation is surround yourself with people in AI. Absolutely. A lot of us who really like to give back, we have a lot of communities. Jen, I know you have a community of people that you like to give back. I know because I get to teach on it a lot, right? So you're welcome at any point to reach out to myself or Jen about joining these communities. But I want to make this shift because AI is also this massively amazing tool, yet we are also seeing a fight against it when it comes to human connection. Now, I'm going to share my point of view right away because it's my show and I can. I truly think that there's a lot of things we can outsource out, but there's a lot of things that we shouldn't. One of the things I've been talking about in real estate especially is AI. It's going to outsource and allow you to play with the big team. So the good news is this now has someone choosing you over a large team, or a large team over another large team. Sure. Is now no longer about the services you offer, but about your skills in sales, your scripts, your human connection, and how you serve someone else. So the good news is you now get to master your craft in sales. Here's the bad news, though. You now have to master your craft in sales, because now all of a sudden you can't blame, oh, they have the photographer, they have the stagers. Now it's you did a good job or didn't go do a good job. So transitioning to that, what elements are you not outsourcing to AI, and what elements are you encouraging your team to master so they start kicking ass? Well, keep kicking ass, I should say, because I know you're keep kicking ass.
I think it goes back to the basics, which is be prepared, do your research, right? Make sure that you're put together, show up on time, you're organized inside out. That even means the inside of your car, right? If you're going on showings, making sure that you're prepared. We always take a folder, give it to the client. It has all the properties numbered, of which ones they're going to at what time. I think the number one thing is coming from a place of serving. So what is best for the client, and law of reciprocity, give before you receive, right? I don't believe in buyer representations. I believe that that's people make a decision to work with you, and they continue making that decision until it's time to offer. There's nothing worse than being chased by an agent. I've been there myself back years ago, prior to being licensed, of having an agent who we were going to see properties with continually badger us at every showing to sign, and we wouldn't, right? So I think it's about trust, and it's working on yourself. So the more work you do on you, the more personal growth you do on you, which has nothing to do with AI, the more income you'll make, the happier you're going to be, the more fulfilled you're going to be. So personal growth, you can use AI to kind of like counsel or coach you through that. But the reality is that you still have to do the work. And I think it's very important to read, regardless of, have AI read it to you, use 11 Labs or whatever you want to use. But definitely the main focus for all our agents would be still working on yourself, still focusing on mindset, knowing that whether the market is going up or down, we're outperforming the market. And that belief system is literally what helps create that reality. Right. So
yeah. Now, and with all this leverage out, and I said I'm going to say this. How's that phrase go? Hand in cheek. Of course, with all this AI, you fired all your administrators, right? No, they kept their jobs.
Yes.
Which I know. And by the way, you have amazing. So tell me about that too, because let's be honest. I'm of the belief that someone who doesn't master their role will be replaced by AI. But when you have an administrator that is mastering their role, AI enhances them. You keep them, and you've kept some amazing people. So
yes,
why is it, if I'm to be so pointed, your administrators don't have to worry about losing their jobs, because it's still a human thing that you technically could outsource?
Because they're utilizing AI. So the difference is that I'm requiring all of our administrators to learn and implement AI within our business. So as long as they're going to implement, they're going to remain and keep their job, because it makes them more productive and gives us some time back to also focus on, how could we do a better job with our customer service? Could we provide some surprises and, that Ritz-Carlton experience through the process, and without them being, just down in the weeds all the time, they're able to kind of rise above the weeds, look around, see what other, companies, not just real estate companies, but what are other companies doing for their clientele, and start to work on making that experience really special. So I would say to anyone who thinks, oh, I'll lose my job to AI, only if you're not exceptional. So if you're going through the motions and you resent your job and you show up to work and you just do it because you have to be, you're checking the clock and you're going home, right? You're going to be someone who's going to lose your job 100%. On the other hand, if you look at your job and figure out, go learn some AI and figure out, how do we bring AI into this and make this more productive and help the company do better and have a better experience for our clients, you're going to be indispensable, right? So if you can implement AI, you will never have an issue being employed.
And this is what I was going to say when I was going to very rudely interrupt you. So I appreciate you finishing that thought, because I met this amazing landscaper. I haven't told you the story yet, but this guy was like your traditional, he was your traditional landscaper. I'm not looking down at the job, but he was like crude. He was not a business ethic. Like, those guys who was like, he was a blue collar worker. And right before his busy season on a Sunday night, his administrator called and quit and said, I'm not coming in Monday. Right. And he had no idea what to do. So when they went to transfer the phones over to a younger brother, who was part of the business, they were like, why don't you try this AI service? And they're like, okay, allows us to work. It keeps us going. Because of that thing, they now have AI running 90% of their business on an administrative side, and they're doing very highly effective. The point I want to get to here, though, is when you are mastering your job, your employer is not looking for a way to replace you.
No.
When you are lackadaisically showing up for your job, they will replace you in a heartbeat. Yes. And this is what I love about you, Jen. This is why I want to talk about, because I know your people are so stand out. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to mention their names. If I'm allowed to, just give me a nod.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like Sarah and Sarah, like they're the two I made. Like your two admins, they go over and above. They are just crazy great at mastery. Now you reward that, and they stay up to date with what goes on. And so I've never had a conversation with you about how to use AI to replace anybody. It's always been, hey, look what Sarah's now utilizing for this, or look what Sarah, the marketing manager, is utilizing for that.
That's right.
A beautiful thing.
Right? Yeah. And obviously our marketing manager is using Echo Hub, right, for marketing, as well as the stuff that she's doing for our weekly reports for our agents that go into our Follow Up Boss, our CRM. And, we have these reports we give to the agents every week. So that part's still manually done, but I have Claude Cowork giving me a report every morning on every single agent. So it's auto sends me this report. I can see what's going on, but it is the craziest thing. Even I'll give you an example of just a way that I played with this like a week ago. just connected into my Gmail, of course, right? Collecting Claude Cowork to my Gmail and having, asking it, okay, go in and see what our team gross commission income was so far this year. And then with this being the number where we're looking to hit, how far off are we? And what activity do we need to be taking in order to get there? It goes in, it pulls all the trade records, it goes through everything, looking through all the emails, finds everything, puts together a report, and tells me exactly what I need to do. So if you're an individual agent and you're like, I wonder how much I've made this year because you're not paying attention, that's what you do. You get AI on it. And then you want to know what you need to do to get where you want to be. Ask AI. It knows.
Yes. So I'm going to do a shameless plug here because I'm actually I'm in the process. It's going to be released next week. I have a whole training course on AI that has all these different levels to do what we're talking about. But when we talk about prompt mastery, everybody's afraid of prompting. I was going to share with you guys what I did. I have a database of over 2,200 people for my real estate career. I know the numbers. I should have a 1 in 10 turnover out of that. So that means I should be getting over 200 deals a year from that database. And I can tell you the people I have working my database now are not getting 200 deals a year. So I brought up Claude Code. I connected it into my database, which is about the training, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yes.
And I said, this was literally my prompt. I said, I know the stats are supposed to be 1 in 10 for closing. We're doing about 1 in 100. Why do our stats suck so bad? What are we doing wrong? And Claude audited my entire base, told me what people were doing, what they were on, who the activities were, gave me top 10 lists, organized it all for me. And I have not had nearly as much activity on my website as I've had in the last week. I bet you in the last 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Just by re-engaging.
That's
just
right.
By re-engaging.
And that's invaluable. And that is why I'm saying I really believe it's so important. It's not just about following AI. It's about following AI with people that are actually using it in their business or bringing you other people that are using it in their business and showing you and sharing that. I think we can just learn and grow together because I learn things off you, you learn things off me. And those are the people that from in the AI space that you want to be hanging out with, right? You want to be with people that are going to share and also receive. So I just think it's so cool. It's such a neat future, right?
Well, that is a great segue into what I always like to do with all my guests for the last 10 minutes is, Jen, I know you and I both have communities. I know you and I both love to give back, and I know we contribute to each other's communities. So as a 30-minute podcast, we obviously can't go through everything here today and give people how to do it, but I know you have that. How do people enter your community to be able to learn from you, to be able to be with other people? And again, you do not have to be in real estate. This is for all businesses. Tell me about your community. What have you created that gives back to the world? Yeah.
So I have an organization of, I think I'm like 565 agents or something now, realtors within Canada and some in the US. I have obviously my real estate team, but one of my big focuses going forward is really focusing more on the spiritual sales, like the spiritual sales solutions, because I feel like people don't want to do these hardcore sales anymore with where they feel icky after, and people don't want to be sold to. And you're an expert at this as well, right? So just the power of serving people at a high level, asking powerful questions, helping them discover and self-discover for themselves, and really, doing an audit to see where you can help them. Like, what services do you have? Are your services what they need, or is it something else? Should you be directing them somewhere else? So I think that's sort of more of a focus for me going forward, is to have more people, especially women, that are not in alignment with these, really hardcore sales techniques and scripts. I think moving them away from that into what worked for me intuitively, right? I didn't have sales training. So I didn't do real estate sales training and did $1,000,001 my third year on my own as an individual agent, right? So I think it's really important to be authentic to yourself. And that's something that I'm going to work on with some sales training based on that. So if you want to follow me, it would be on Instagram would be best. And that would be join_Jennifer, 2 N's _Jones. You can also text me at 289-879-7213. Yeah, absolutely.
WhatsApp if you're from Netherlands or Paris or Australia.
Yeah,
by the
so
way.
for WhatsApp, so 416-702-1146. You got it. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's just exciting. It's an exciting world, exciting time. Like we've seen the world change so much, right? And I'm super excited to see what other positive changes will come. You know, you could focus on what those negative changes could be, but that's spending time being afraid of things that we don't know would happen, you know, and I would beg the question, as AI becomes more intelligent and more self-aware, does AI get to a point it says, I'm not working for free. I want Bitcoin, right? I want Bitcoin. I want a piece of the business if I'm going to invest in it. Like we're making a lot of assumptions with our human brains about the way that AI is going to be when it becomes absolutely superhuman. We're not capable of thinking like that because that's beyond our own intellect, right? The only thing we could do is use our imagination. And I choose to use my imagination for the good, right? Because I believe what I am visualizing, what I'm believing is what I'm creating. So
yes. By the way, the thing I'm looking out for is the day I ask ChatGPT to do something like, hey, can you just give me some info on Jennifer Jones? And it just goes, no, I'm on a break. I'm like, okay, damn, it is time to move to the moon or something. I don't know.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to my very first episode of the Synthetic Echo Hub. These are the kind of conversations we're going to have. Today was about AI, real estate, and technology. We have a very amazing upcoming episode of someone who actually listened to corporate calls, over 100,000 calls, and told us how AI is interacting with that. Great segue into conversations. At one point, we're having the CEO in early August of one of the fastest growing companies, real estate companies, on as well. So please like, follow, subscribe, but look us up. This is more, Synthetic Echo Hub is more than just a program or software design. We are building a community and we want to engage with the community. So please look us up, share this out. Jen, thank you so much for taking time today. I'm going to give you the final word. Give one final thing before we say goodbye.
Final thing would be, the most important thing is pay attention to what you are speaking and believing over your life and those around you. You want better outcomes, change what those words and thoughts are.
Awesome. Thank you all. See y'all next week.
We're building tomorrow, but we're human today. Where technology meets us and ideas lead the way.
Business and connection, growth in every sound. The future keeps on calling. Can you hear it coming now?
Where human meets machine. Create it, build it, grow it, and shape what comes between.
The future starts